What's up everyone? So it's Subi Mioch here, and this is my 2018 Subaru WRX. Let's get it started. This is my 2018 Subaru WRX, almost at 33,000 miles. So I've had it for like a little more than 2.5 years, going for 3 years in June. And I absolutely love this car. Like, you guys have no idea once you drive a car and you just instantly fall in love with it. Like, yeah, you might fall in love with the looks and the specs and stuff like that, but once you actually drive it and feel it and experience it, the all-wheel drive, it just grips and handles extremely well. Like, yeah, you can't really get a car with high horsepower to be racing on the street. I mean, if you take it to the track, if you have time for track days and stuff like that, well, by all means go ahead and get the fastest car. But I mean, it's a daily driver, and yeah, I think this is a perfect daily driver. Yeah, you might hear about other people saying how they blow their engines or stuff like that, and as part of it, it's knowing what to do to the car and like doing it the right way, because there's a right way and a wrong way to modifying cars, and we'll get into that in a second. But I tried my best to do all my research to find the best possible way to make safe, reliable power, and that is where we're gonna get at right now, getting on the freeway. So I am currently on the Cobb off-the-shelf map Stage 2 Plus, which is the Cobb SF intake and the Cobb catted jade pipe. Now I have a video of my exhaust setup and exhaust clip on my channel. If you're interested in looking at that, I'd greatly appreciate it. But back to the tuning portion of this. I drove stock for about maybe 10,000 miles before I purchased the Cobb Access Port. Yeah, it was, the tune wasn't the best, wasn't the greatest factory tune. Yeah, you got a lot of power, like the 2 to 2,500 RPM, but then it just quickly died, like right after 4,000 RPM. And then once, also the rev hang, but once I got the access port and flashed that Stage 1 map, which is just no modifications, it's just a tune for stock parts, and I immediately felt the difference. It wasn't the biggest jump, but I felt a difference with the rev hang. So it mostly solves the rev hang, and it broadens the power band a little. I'm gonna let this trailer go ahead. But after that, after about maybe 2.5 to 5,000 miles after I got the access port, I got the intake. So I had a couple buddies that were modifying their WRXs, and they were getting intakes, and they made performance as pretty good intake from what I've heard. They also offer a map for it, because for an intake, since you're changing the airflow and location of the sensor, the map sensor, you intake, since the Active-Sport already comes with those off-the-shelf maps. And for the intake, I didn't really see a power gain. It wasn't noticeable, but you do hear the whooshing of the intake a lot more. And right now I'm just talking about power mods, because my very first mod was the nameless axle back muffler deletes. And yeah, that was cool until I got in my buddy's WRX and he had a full catback, and I realized that I needed that. And so after the stage 1 plus, which is the intake, around maybe 20,000 miles, I went ahead and got the AWE Touring Edition catback exhaust, along with the Cobb catted non-resonated J-pipe. And yeah, I've seen a lot of videos of removing the bolts that connect the stock J-pipe to the turbo, and how much of a pain it is. And let me tell you guys, it is a pain. It is no joke to remove those stubborn bolts. And so I had two of them off, and I was struggling to get the last two until I stripped one, and then I just decided to put all the bolts back together and take it to a muffler shop to get my J-type installed. I took it to a local shop. They charged me, I think, like $70 to install it. And so after I got that installed, you have to remove the second restrictor fill in one of the hoses. There's a lot of videos for installing the J-pipes, and they're all basically the same. And so after that, I immediately flashed the stage 2 plus. And after I broke in the J-pipe, like 2,000 miles, it was fully broken in, I felt the biggest power jump from stock to stage 1 to stage 1 plus, and I immediately felt more power in the higher RPM range. Like, yeah, you feel the boost kick in like at 2,000 RPM, 2,500 RPM. And then with that J-pipe, you just feel it going all the way to 4,000, 4,500. But yeah, that's where we're currently sitting at, stage 2 plus. And now I'm at almost 33,000 miles. And we're just sitting here looking for more power, ultimately. So after extensive research, I realized that the best way to go is flex fuel, guys. Like, hands down, flex fuel is the best, cheapest mod you can get the most power out of. And I live here in Southern California, where there's quite a few stations of flex fuel around here. But I mean, if you plan to do road trips where there isn't any flex fuel, you're gonna want to go ahead and get the flex sensor. But I mean, if there's like absolutely no flex fuel around your area within like 20 miles, I wouldn't really recommend doing flex fuel. Damn, traffic. Well, this is California, so what do you expect? Try to sneak in here. This is my exit. So back to it, flex fuel. So yeah, flex fuel, ethanol, E85, whatever you might call it, all the same difference. Just wakes up these engines on the WRX, the FA20s, DITs, direct injection, turbos. Just, these cars love ethanol. You can get, don't quote me on this, this is just off the top of my head, I believe like 40 to almost 100 horsepower gains just from ethanol. They say you can make way more power with stock parts on E85 than a full bolt-on on 91. We have 91 here in California. I don't know why they gave us the worst gas, but in other states 93, and I think it'll still beat a full bolt-on on 93. So to go flex fuel on E60 blend, so 60% ethanol, you'll need the low pressure fuel pump, which is located in the back seat of the car, under the back seat, and the flex fuel sensor, and obviously the cob access port to tune it, and the tune. So with that being said, it's not that much, well, not that many parts, but it's the best, cheapest way to make the most power, guys. I should have probably started off with that, but the route that I took was just to save enough money for a dyno tune, which we'll get to in a second. And I got some other bolt-ons because of the off-the-shelf map, so that I could just run them reliably. Now, there's a lot of debate of off-the-shelf maps and getting an E-tune and getting a dyno tune. And from what I've heard is they rank them worst to best from off-the-shelf map. And then the next best thing is an E-tune, and the next best thing is a dyno tune. Now, I finally pulled the trigger after so much thought, and I am gonna go ahead and get a dyno tune, and we have that scheduled for March 18th. So if you follow me on my Instagram page at Subi_Mioch_18, I'll put that in the description. Appreciate the love. I have a countdown for Dyno Day. That's what the countdown is for. We have Dyno Day on March 18th, and I'm going with Fat Body Tuning with Ron Watson, because he's local and I've heard many, many great things about him. And the parts are the parts that I have on now, which is the Cobb SF intake, the Cobb catted J pipe, and I also got the IBR full TGV deletes, because there's some TGV plates that just replace the TGV valves, the butterfly valves, and leave the bottom portion of the TGV system, which still restricts some airflow. So I got the full TGV deletes, which is just a one piece that you just install, and I got the EGR deletes as well, and I also am getting a top mount intercooler, the new Cobb top mount intercooler for the 2015 plus WRX. Well, 2015 to 2018. They claim that there's some fitment issues for the 2019 and up, but hopefully they can resolve that and you guys can pick one up for those that have the 2019 plus WRX. But I went ahead in that one, and I talked to one of the guys over at Fat Body Tuning, and they said that they haven't dynoed any WRXs with that top mount intercooler. They've done Grim Speed and Process West, but not the new Cobb top mount intercooler, since it just came out very recently. We're in almost March, end of February of 2021. fairly new. I mean, there's one install video out there from Rally Sport Direct. Rick, he does a really good job of explaining how to do it, and I might go ahead and do an install video or like a walkthrough just to show my experience installing it, because I mean, Rick makes it look really easy, and I'm hoping that it's really easy, but yeah, hopefully I'll get to document that too. And apart from those bolt-ons, pretty much full bolt-on except for the headers, and along with that I'm doing the flex fuel kit, so I'm gonna be able to switch from 91 to E60 on the fly, so that way you don't need to be calculating. Well, you're still gonna need to calculate how much ethanol is in your car, but with that you don't have to worry about having to fill up the exact amount of E85 every time. So say that I just want to run an E60 blend for the week, and then for the next 3 weeks I'll run a 91 or less, because I want to increase the fuel efficiency of my car. Or if I'm going on a trip that there's no E85 in my area, I could just run a straight 91. But yeah, as we're approaching to my work, got here faster than I thought, but those are the plans. I'm gonna have install hopefully next week. I'm gonna be installing my fuel pump, hopefully today or tomorrow, depending on when my harness gets here. But we have the parts arriving today, and hopefully I'll get to install them by next week and flash the base map, which will enable me to run my parts on my car safely. And I'll have to do a couple logs, which I believe is just a cruising log of 5 minutes, and then a third gear wide open throttle pull, just so that you can see if there's any check engine lights, if any tweaking needs to be done, any leaks before the dyno tune, which is on March 18th, guys, so remember that for your calendar. But yeah, we're excited. I'm gonna try my best to document every step of this process. So my target, from what I've heard and what I've heard from the tuner, is that for similar setups with flex fuel, they can go around 360 wheel horsepower to up to almost 400 wheel horsepower. But I'm trying to keep the car as reliable as possible, and so my target is going to be the low end of that spectrum, which is going to be 360, maybe 370, depending on what he recommends. If he says it's safe to do 370 wheel horsepower, then we'll probably go that on E60, but 360 is the target for now, wheel horsepower on E85. And for 91, I'm hoping to get at least 300 wheel horsepower. I think we could say that's a pretty good number for just 91, but those are the target numbers: 300 on 91 and 360 on E85. Well, E60 blend. But we're excited for the dyno day. I'm still trying to figure out when to install all the parts and whether I should document them or not. I'll try to document as much as possible so that you guys can see the journey, but these are the plans for the 2018 WRX. Hopefully you guys stay entertained throughout the course of this documentary. But yeah, wish me luck, guys, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.